Let me get this out of the way quickly because I'm dying to get changed into my normal clothes. It wasn't just an issue of age or weight or shape that kept me out of t-shirts. I'm a mod, basically, and I don't like to be seen improperly dressed. But for you, I am revealing the brand new Moch graduate merchandise, which Gayatri has designed and is marketing, and there'll be more details about how you can join this distinguished alumni of graduates of the Open University of the Airwaves. Not just t-shirts, polo shirts, hoodies, caps, everything that you can see on the screen now and more can be yours for a song, relatively speaking. Let me turn to the big issues of the day. I'm sorry to say the big issue of the day in Britain, and it seems increasingly true also in the rest of the Anglosphere, is the passing, however sad to those who knew her, although I'm reminded of Keith Richards' comment when asked how he felt about the death of Princess Diana. He shrugged and said, "I don't know, I never knew the chick." And most of the people now mourning the passing of Her Majesty the Queen never knew her either. She had a long and luxurious life at public expense of 96 years. By all means, give thanks to the Lord for that. I surely would if I were to reach 96. Her mother reached 102 and her husband reached 100. So how long are you going to have Prince Charles for? Or should I say King Charles? Well, he might be your king. He isn't mine. I don't believe in kings. I kneel only before God, and my king is Jesus Christ, the Redeemer. But the rest of you will have to get used to calling him King Charles after a mere 73 years of referring to him as Prince Charles. That nomenclature is going to get difficult, as you've just seen with me. I didn't mean to say Prince Charles. But I tell you this, it's going to be impossible for many people to get their tongue round, if you'll forgive the phrase, Queen Camilla. I wouldn't put my tongue anywhere near her, and I will never refer to her as Queen Camilla, but you will be forced to. It's amazing. We were told at the time that it would be morganatic, that there would be no title of queen. Then it was Queen Consort, and now they are in the media already before the actual queen is buried, referring to her as Queen Camilla. This is the woman, a married woman with several children, who conducted a decades-long adulterous affair with the then Prince Charles behind the back of Princess Diana, and both of them, cheating their spouses, are now ensconced in Buckingham Palace side by side on a throne. Well, some of us have kinder memories of Princess Diana than to go quietly into that good night. That's not the main reason, the main thing I've got against King Charles. Of course, I've got many things against him, and we don't have time for me to adumbrate them all. But here's the most important one. I met the Queen twice, and at the end of the conversations, I had no idea what her political views were. And that is precisely the point. But you know already the political views of Prince Charles. You know that he is a quackery and greenery fanatic. You know that he is a friend of the World Economic Forum, a friend of Davos. You know that he's for net zero. You know that he's for talking to the trees and shivering in the freeze. Shivering in the freeze that will be caused to you, but not him, by the quackery and greenery of the abandonment of hard power energy for windmills and other quack solutions to the needs of an energy-hungry industrial economy in a world, in a country where most of the people are still poor and need their standard of living built up, dragged up, pushed up to the levels of the richest people in the richest countries in the world. It's all very well, drawing up the drawbridge when you're in your castle and warm and fat and no longer in need of any of the basic entitlements of humanity. But what about the people outside, on the other side of the moat, who have not yet enjoyed a scintilla of the standard of living that you have? That's why I'm against greenery and quackery, but Charles is madly in love with it. And he won't be slow to tell you. Well, the Queen never imparted to me a single thought about political matters. Charles will never be done lecturing you from the bully pulpit of Buckingham Palace. He'll be ordering you what to wear, how to wear it, what to heat, what to eat, and what you should look forward to. Basically, the Klaus Schwab, his bosom buddy formula of you will own nothing, he will own plenty, but you will own nothing, but you will be happy. No thanks, I will not go into that good night. And the second most important reason why I'm against this ascension, as they call it, blasphemously, is that I think it is deeply demeaning to the British people and the people of those Commonwealth countries foolish enough to still have as their head of state somebody who lives thousands of miles away in a foreign country. It is deeply demeaning to us that we depend upon, in this case, the primogeniture, because if Princess Anne, who would have been my pick for monarch, if we must have one, had been born before Charles, she couldn't have got the gig because she didn't have bollocks, although she's got far more bollocks, metaphorically speaking, than Charles, in my view. But to say that our head of state will be picked by the draw of which child is born first to the monarch before them is so medieval, it is ridiculous, it is Ruritarian, it's a Danny Kaye fantasy movie, it's Brigadoon on a British scale. Now people say to me they don't want President Boris Johnson, they don't want President Tony Blair, neither do I, although President George Galloway would be a distinct possibility, who knows. I don't want an elected president like America or France. I want a president like Germany. Can any of you name the president of Germany? None of you can. Even some of you who are watching in Germany cannot tell me who the president of Germany is. I want somebody who will cut ribbons and wave benignly at people from the back of a limousine. That's enough. I don't want to have an executive president, but I will never, now that the Queen has gone, accede to the idea that a family, even if they were a model of Olympian virtue and accomplishment, and trust me, they are neither. Prince Andrew, anyone? Did you know that when Charles is out the country, Prince Andrew is going to be in charge? Lock up your daughters, especially if they're under age. I will not worship at the feet of any human, let alone humans of little moral or any kind of accomplishment. Now, let me move on, because Clive Myrie said that all these great events that are happening in the country and the world are of insignificance compared to the passing of a 96-year-old lady. That's what he said. Clive, be ashamed of yourself. I've just seen a man who's posted his elderly mother's gas bill, which has gone from £220 per month, already high, to £1,250 per month. And the old lady, I have no doubt, is beside herself with worry. How can she pay £1,200 for a gas bill? By April, our partners will be paying half of their pension to keep the light on and keep the heating on in their homes. By April, our inflation will be 25% and rising, levels that have never been seen in a generation in this country and seldom seen in the entire modern history of this country. Our unemployment rate will be numbered in the millions, and those that have a job will have experienced a massive cut in their living standards. So food banks will be booming, but they'll be the only business that's booming in Britain. Do the maths. If inflation's 25%, unless you get a 25% wage increase, you've had a wage cut. And of course, workers whose wages are falling don't have money to spend on the products and services that businesses in Britain are offering. And therefore, they too will have to start laying off workers. I'll tell you, we are about to enter a death spiral. And my goodness, we're doing so at a time when existential challenge to the country and our society is mirrored by a political class that you wouldn't send out for a loaf. You wouldn't send Charles out for a loaf. He wouldn't know how to buy it. You wouldn't send Liz Truss out for a loaf. She's thick as mince in a bottle. You wouldn't send Keir Starmer out for a loaf, and they are the power in our country. They are the political class. I'm reading at the moment, my good friend James bought me a vintage edition of it, Their Finest Hour. The first paragraph written by Winston Churchill could not be written by the entire British political class. The first 3 paragraphs are in such wondrous language, showing such breadth of intellect and experience and achievement, that the entire British political class together could not have penned them. When we were last under existential challenge, Churchill came forward with Mr. Attlee as number 2 and Mr. Bevin as number 3. And I could go on. We had a political class that not only refused to surrender to the fascist beast at the Channel ports, but rallied this country in the face of an existential challenge to our entire existence. Keir Starmer, anybody? Liz Truss, anybody? Have you heard them? Have you read them? Though, interestingly, they virtually never write anything. Because on the written page, as long as it wasn't written by some spad, they would quickly be revealed to be the shallow-minded hypocrites and incompetents that they are. So we're in big trouble in our country. But spare a thought for the United States of America. They are about to issue perhaps scores of indictments against the former President Donald Trump for the simple reason that they know he's going to be re-elected as president again. Now I know, imagine a choice between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Talk about the devil in the deep blue sea. Talk about Hobson's choice. But it's because they know that Trump will beat them, they're about to issue a blizzard of indictments, criminal indictments, put him on trial in the hope that that will dent the midterm massacre that the Democrats are about otherwise to face in the midterm elections in just a few weeks from now, and to slow and, if possible, stop the possibility of a second Trump term as president. So if you think that Liz Truss and Keir Starmer are a poor man's choice for political leadership, spare a thought for our friends in America, who at least got rid of monarchy, although I sometimes think they've never really fallen out of love with it. And we'll be talking to Farron Fronczek about how it's all playing in Peoria, or at least in Los Angeles and in New York City. The royal death and this 10 days of mourning has reached across the Anglosphere. We are blessed, did I say blessed? With 7 current and former Prime Ministers of Canada in London right now. How lucky can you get? Well, it's an ill wind that blows nobody any good. The people of Canada can breathe more freely that Justin Trudeau ain't around, at least for the next few days. But I'll be around for the rest of this show because it is the mother of all talk shows.